Everything you have is mine. That's why I'm still your mother. My entitled mom. Raids my yard, pockets my keys, and $600. Black Sheep's son locks it all down. Hey Reddit, been thinking of posting my story for a while and here it is, ready for you, so enjoy. I'm 28 male, eldest, and according to family lore, the official black sheep, aka the only one who thinks boundary isn't a dirty word. The main character? My mother, an entitled matriarch who treats family shares like it's a constitutional amendment. She's had a few fresh starts. New houses, new last names, same tote, currently married to stepdad, and she's raising my two younger half-brothers, Evan, 9 male, and Milo, 7 male. Great kids, zero blame, fully convinced every yard is public property. I've got a partner, a small place with a pool, and the radical belief that locks mean something. She's got volume, confidence, and a habit of walking through doors like they owe her rent. If you've ever had a relative who thinks your home is a community center and your patience is a suggestion box, you already know the vibe. No spoilers, but there will be gates, cameras, and a label maker that's doing the Lord's work. You'll get to see how family shares fares against an actual key. So we're starting here. No boring childhood saga. I'll spare you. Late afternoon, sun bouncing off the deck boards. I was at the kitchen island with a plate and my phone when the side gate latch did its grumpy metal rasp. The gate swung in. No knock, no text. Mom marched through like she owned the hinge. Tote bouncing off her hip. Evan, 9, and Milo, 7, trailed behind in swim shorts. Sunscreen still streaked on their cheeks. She cut straight across the grass toward the pool, shoes thumping the flagstone path, eyes already on the gray control box beside the reel. Evan veered for the hose. Milo went for the deck steps. She didn't look at me. She placed the tote on my patio table like it lived there, and raised her hand toward the lock on the cover box. Open the pool, she said. Not a question. I stepped out onto the deck, slid the screen door shut behind me, and set my palm on the control box. The keyhole stared back. I tapped it once with my fingernail so she could see it wasn't for decoration. Family shares, she tossed over her shoulder, like that was some kind of key. She didn't lower her voice. Everything you have is mine. That's why I'm still your mother. No, I said. That's it. No lecture. Just the word. She did the face, the one for store managers and church committees. Evan peeled his shirt, grinning. Milo hopped from foot to foot. Sun hammered the deck. Yeah, it was hot. Still not a reason to treat my yard like a park. She reached for the lock. I shook my head. She tried anyway. The lock didn't even wiggle. She tried the side gate next, the one that swells in humidity and sticks. Rattle, bang, rattle. Then she angled for the slider like she'd just remembered indoor plumbing exists and I must be the concierge. I didn't move. She stopped close enough I could count the tiny flecks in her contact lenses. Behind her, Evan pointed at the planter, and Milo did the knee dance kids do. My grass needed water. That became the plan. I brought the sprinklers up in sequence. The boys ran through the arcs. The lock stayed shut. I saved a single wide clip. She spun toward me and waved at the water like I'd installed it to be personally rude. I slid to zone 2. The second line hissed awake and stitched a clear curtain across the path to the pool. Sun turned it into glitter. The spray ran off the edge of the deck and fell in a steady drip by the steps. My control box and I stayed very boring and very closed. Neighbors noticed. Cameras noticed. I let that do the talking. Mom parked herself by the control box again, palm flat on the lid, and stared at me like the lock belonged to her schedule. Evan darted through another stream and started making sound effects. Milo giggled and then grimaced and then giggled again. She snapped fingers without looking at them. The boys froze fast like she'd hit a pause button. I kept it simple. I pointed my thumb at the side gate and gave the universal see yourself out nudge. She didn't move. That's when the front doorbell pinged my phone with a motion chirp. Breeze or a mail truck, probably. I flipped to the cam anyway and saw the porch sitting empty, flag shadows sliding across the rail. While I was in the app, I tapped the backyard tile. The wide shot had her, the boys, the spray, and my very scenic face not doing anything except guarding a gray box. I hit save. New clip, time-stamped. She clocked the phone, glanced up toward Mrs. Reyes's yard like she could bend lenses with a look, and adjusted her voice for public ears. It got higher and lighter, even though nobody asked for that. I stacked one more head. The path turned into a clear sheet between them and the box. Evan limped toward the hose like he'd been through a desert, then started laughing again when it spritzed him. Milo took off like a wind-up toy short on batteries, tiny legs pumping, face doing this ping-pong thing between, This is amazing and I will actually explode. They were fine. They were better than fine. Mom finally went for the gate. The latch did its stubborn routine. She banged the heel of her hand against the frame. Metal clacked. The wind chime tinked twice more. A cruiser rolled to the curb. No lights. An officer stepped out. He verified it was my property, asked if I wanted them gone, and issued a trespass warning. They went down the alley. The officer walked with me to the front. At the porch, I unlocked the door, grabbed a pen and a sticky, and he wrote the call number. He handed over a card. He said, "Call non-emergency if it happens again, and there's no threat. Video helps." I nodded. He glanced over my shoulder at the pool cover. "Good safety," he said. I said, "Yep." He left the card. I slid it into the clear sleeve at the front of a binder on the kitchen shelf that I'd labeled Notices and Proof with my label maker, a little crooked because I stuck it too fast. Water drained. The deck steamed clean. The gate seated with a click. I went to the control box, slotted the key, felt the cylinder turn clean, and relocked it. Good click. No drama. I pocketed the key and wiped a line of water off the lid with the side of my hand. I saved the clips to a labeled folder, filed to binder with timestamp. Before I closed up, I checked the side gate latch from my side and remembered. Wood swell, humidity, all that. I pressed the top down with my thumb and listened for the seat. Good. I pushed the gate out and let it fall back. It caught. I tugged twice. Solid. I slid the screen open, grabbed the tote ring imprint still on my patio table, just a faint wet oval where her bag sat for 60 seconds, and wiped it with a towel. The oval disappeared. The deck looked like a normal deck again. That was the whole first day of her living behind me. No knocking, no text. Straight through a gate and straight to the control box like the rule was optional. Water, witnesses, a patrol car, and a shiny new card in a binder. I didn't say much, didn't need to. The lock clicked, the gate shut, the clips saved. That was enough for day one. And Mom picked Sunday. Family meal, her text said. No emoji, just the words, like a command. She showed up 10 minutes early with stepdad and the boys, carrying a grocery bag and a little plant in a chipped pot. She put the plant on my counter like a trophy, and then started moving things around. Salt to the other side of the stove, mail stack rotated, my keys lifted off the hook and set out of the way by the fruit bowl. Partner was at the stove, timer going, sheet pan ready. Evan and Milo were already circling the table counting forks. Stepdad hovered by the back slider pretending to study the grill cover. The kitchen felt like a store display someone had jumped into. Mom said we were having her kind of dinner. She washed her hands like she owned the sink, opened the utensil drawer without asking, and rearranged the spatulas. She took a dish towel, wiped a spotless spot, then slid my keyring a little closer to herself with the towel edge, like it was part of the wipe. Didn't look at me while she did it. Practice move. We ate. Boys compared bites like it was a contest. She complimented the seasoning and then told partner a different way to do it next time. Stepdad ate fast and asked where I got the cutting board. She said we should sit on the deck after. She said the backyard looked friendlier with the sprinklers off. She said family shares twice in 2 different tones because she likes to hear that line bounce off walls. She helped, towel palmed my keys, and diverted them to her tote. Hook bare. We did the obvious search. Nothing. No panic, just a small pass through the downstairs. I checked the mudroom bench, the junk drawer with USB cables, the spot by the door where the package knife lives. No keys. Partner opened the tote I keep by the door with reusable bags. No keys. We stopped. If she had them, I'd get them back when she needed me to notice. She loves that timing. Milo's tablet sent a console photo. Same crescent scratch as mine. Saved. Deposit envelope gone. Clean rectangle where it sat. Photoed. She returned the keys. Fresh nick like a kiosk cut. Photoed. Filed to binder with timestamp. She pretended to adjust the plant she'd left yesterday. She straightened the little notices and proof binder spine with one finger like she was doing me a favor. Stepdad watched the doorbell cam eyeball and looked at his shoes. He held the grocery bag like it contained science, and he didn't want to spill it. I took the bag, peered in. Granola bars, juice boxes, a pack of napkins, receipt missing. She talked about swim lessons for the boys. She talked about school pickup. She dropped family shares again on the way to the door like a tip jar coin. When they left, I locked the door and set the key ring on the counter without hanging it back. Partner came in quiet. I showed him the nick with my finger next to it for scale, then snapped another close shot with the phone. He made a face that wasn't surprised. I went to the drawer again. Still empty. I pulled the drawer all the way out, checked behind it, checked under the sink, Checked the binder because I like patterns. No envelope. Phone buzzed. New photo from Evan's tablet. Scooter boxes in mom's hallway. Big brand logo on the side. From Grandma, the text said. I didn't recognize the background floor. I did recognize the brand. I opened my email, searched the brand, and there it was. An order confirmation from last week for a neighbor gift that had never been delivered. Turns out I hadn't completed the purchase. The preview line showed only the brand name and the model. I screenshotted just that subject line and preview, not the order details, and saved it. Not evidence of those scooters, but enough to remind me to look later. Partner set a notepad on the counter and slid it across with a pen. I wrote 3 lines without titles. Handheld console, crescent scratch, residue, Monday 9:12 a.m. Cash deposit envelope missing. Monday 1:40 p.m. Key ring returned, new nick. Monday 2:20 p.m. I tore a piece of painter's tape and stuck the notepad page to the inside of the cupboard door above the counter so it wouldn't wander. Then I took a photo of that too. The boys showed up at the back fence at 4 with the snack bars open and the scooters leaning against mom's leg in the alley. She made a big show of waving the wrappers like they were thank you cards and then pointed at the side gate as if she'd been told to parade. I didn't open. I pointed at the front door through the glass. She made a big shrug. Stepdad's shoulder sank a centimeter. They left 2 bars on the top of the fence like trophies and walked back down the alley, scooters clicking on every line in the concrete. I hung my keys back on the hook and took a photo of them hanging there this time, the ring centered in the frame. I put the little plant on the porch. Then I set 2 granola bars next to it like decorations and closed the door. The timer on the stove beeped from some earlier setting partner had paused. I turned it off. I dumped the phone photos into the same album I made yesterday and tagged them with plain words. Then I took the empty console case off the table and put it in the hall closet again. Top shelf, far left, nothing else touching it. If something went missing from that shelf again, I wanted a clean line. By 6, the kitchen felt like mine again. The key ring was on the hook. The drawer was still empty. The notepad page above the counter had 3 lines that made a shape nobody could argue with. That was enough for Monday. Yisadar. I served a certified no trespass/revocation and kept the receipts. I forced everything to email only, set an emergency code word. She tried another casual entry. I kept it on camera and let her run 1 towel load. After that, email only. The boys came back, faces damp. I handed them plastic cups of water and told them to sit on the bench by the entry, then went back to the washer. Mom dumped towels from the sack and added exactly 3 squirts of detergent like she was counting out medicine. I pressed start. The drum hummed, then the spin picked up and water threaded down the sight glass. She checked the time, announced they had somewhere in 10, and left the rest for me to finish. Like that was part of the favor. Door closed, latch clicked, and the hallway settled back into its normal noise. I walked to the office, opened the drawer she'd touched. Pens, USB sticks, a roll of stamps, warranty booklets. No confetti. Still, the rails felt moved. I slid the drawer fully out and checked the track screws. One was a quarter turn looser than yesterday. I tightened it. I took a photo of the office door gap before and after. Nothing dramatic, just bookkeeping for later. Next stop, police department lobby. The trespass authorization/letter of agency form sat in a plastic holder by the window. 2 pages. I filled them with block letters like the envelope. Owner's name, address, permission for officers to warn or arrest trespassers after hours or when I'm not present. Attached a copy of my ID, clerk made the copy on a loud machine. I wrote mom's name in the known subjects box, plus family members by her direction, and underlined it once. The desk officer stamped the bottom and slid a carbon copy back under the glass. He gave me an incident number for the file and a nod toward the non-emergency line. If it's active, call, he said. If it's after, we have this. He tapped the form. I wrote the affidavit number on a sticky, stuck it on my phone case for the ride, then put it by the back door at home where I keep the flashlight. At the kitchen table, laptop open, I filed the theft report on the city portal. Drop-downs, check boxes, description boxes limited to 500 characters. I kept it simple. Cash deposit envelope, $600, missing from kitchen drawer, handheld console with identifying scratch and sticker residue, brown leather jacket, brand and size. I attached 3 photos. The empty drawer with the clean rectangle, the console scratch from the kid's text, and the closet hanger with a knockoff jacket sitting like a stranger. I hit submit. The page flashed a confirmation number and a copy sent to your email. I printed the confirmation and slid it into the binder's second sleeve. Quick pause, fellas. YouTube just dropped this new hype feature. If you're hooked on this story, smash that hype button. It tells YouTube this video deserves to blow up, and it keeps even crazier stories coming your way. Thanks so much for your support. All right, back to the drama. Mail came late Tuesday. The green card showed up Wednesday morning. Her signature ran downhill across the line like it was leaving. Date stamp clear. I took a photo of the front and back and slid the card behind the original notice in the first sleeve, then added a sticky that said, "Received with the date." Binder was starting to look like a school project. Good. Project's finish. Mom pinged my phone 6 times from 3 numbers during lunch. 2 calls, 3 texts, 1, "Call me now." I let them stack. Auto reply bounced back, "Email only." She doesn't like being told where to put her words. 10 minutes later, a call from another number with a city prefix I didn't recognize. I answered on speaker in the kitchen where the doorbell cam can see hands. Thin voice. "There's a hospital situation." "What's the code word?" I said. Silence. Then the line died. I screenshotted the missed call log and the auto reply copy and added them to the album. Blocked that number and the last 2. If anyone was actually hurt, Stepdad would email from his account. He didn't. I swapped the front and back cameras to video-only mode just to be sure. Settings menu flashed audio off. Saved. Outside, the side gate squeaked on its hinge in the breeze and closed itself. The latch thunk was small. I checked it anyway, tugged twice, and let it settle. Thursday morning, a city truck rumbled down the alley. The driver slowed at the fence line to pick up a couple of branches someone had left by the bin. He saw me at the gate, raised a hand, and kept moving. The alley is good at carrying sound. It carried Mom's voice that afternoon, too, floating from behind the fence, coaching the boys on how fast scooters go on flat concrete and how brakes are optional if you plan ahead. The sound flipped to quiet when she saw the camera blinking red on my eaves. She used the front door just before dinner. Towed again. No boys this time. She had a thin smile and a thicker stack of printed school forms I hadn't asked to see. I opened the door with the chain again. She pushed the forms against it like they were a wedge. I didn't remove the chain. She held them there long enough for the doorbell to log faces and paper, then pulled them back and said she'd email. Great. The chain stayed where it was. Backyard after sunset, I walked the fence line with a flashlight and tightened the side gate striker plate by a hair so the latch seated on the first drop. 2 turns. Slight scrape as the metal shifted. I tested the self-closing hinge with 3 pushes. Clean catch each time. Hinge squeaked. I shot a drop of silicone lube on the pin and wiped the excess. Quiet now. Filed to binder with timestamp. The washer finished the load she left. I pulled towels out one by one and stacked them on the dryer. Nothing extra in the drum, no stray tags, no paper shreds. I folded them flat, set them in a bag by the door, and wrote a note in block letters. Towels. Email for pickup time. Phone buzzed at 10:21 p.m. A long text from her. 3 screens of it. No punctuation that made sense, and 14 mentions of family, as if repetition had legal force. Auto reply bounced again. Then a follow-up from Stepdad's email 5 minutes later. "Can we pick up towels tomorrow at 5? I replied, "Yes." Front door. "I'll set them on the porch at 4:55. Friday, 4:55, towels on the porch. Doorbell recorded the pickup at 5:03. No extra feet, no tote. After the pickup, I opened the cam clip, scrubbed the timeline, saved it, and labeled it Towels Returned. I put the binder back on the shelf and slid the officer's card into the front sleeve pocket so it didn't wander. The sticky with the affidavit number on the back door frame stayed where it was. Easy to grab if I needed to quote it. By the end of the week, the list on the cupboard door had 4 lines and neat times. The binder had weight. The office drawer didn't stick anymore. The washer was empty. The house was quiet. The cameras faced the right directions. The gate shut itself. And the green card sat under my notice like a stamp that said received without anyone having to agree. 2:13 a.m., someone tested the front latch. Clip saved, no entry. Audio off stayed grayed out like I said it. Good. I screened the side cam next. Fence line. Nothing but the alley and a trash bin lid that the breeze kept tapping. I logged the time on a sticky and stuck it to the fridge next to the call number from last week. Sleep didn't come back. Coffee at 6:30. Rekeyed locks, reinforced strike plates, sealed the mower gate, added a camera. The old rear mower gate had to go. I pulled the lag screws from the hinge side, backed the hinges off, and hauled the panel to the driveway. The opening looked like a mouth missing a tooth. I set a new 2x4 across the posts, pre-drilled through the pickets, and ran exterior screws to close the span. Quick coat of sealant so it didn't look fresh. From the alley side, it read like it had always been a fence, not a door. I tugged once. Firm. I mounted one more camera under the eave that saw the alley slice between my place and Mom's new rental. Ladder up, bracket on 2 anchors, camera in, phone pairing in. Under a minute, video feed looked down the line and got the side gate latch in frame. I turned the little lens a hair until the latch sat dead center. By noon, I had a small stack of empty boxes, a bag of mixed screws, and a clean checklist on the counter. I took photos of the new cylinders in place, the back strike plate with the long screws, the sealed former gate, and the camera view of the latch. I slid the printed photos into the binder sleeves with the same calm I used yesterday. The porch chime pinged at 1:09 p.m. Motion, not a ring. I checked the live view. Mom stood at the threshold square to the camera, toed on shoulder, key in hand. She slid the key in, gave the knob a neighborly jiggle. Key turned nothing. The smart lock keypad pulsed a polite access denied in white squares. She looked straight into the lens and smiled like the joke was on the house, not her hand. Then she stepped back and tipped the key toward the camera, tiny flash of brass, like she wanted the lens to admire it. Then the tote swung and she left frame. Save still frame, print, sleeve. At the cul-de-sac, she floated a public, "I loaned him $600" story while the boys displayed new scooters. I logged the claim and the model match. I didn't clap. I took a photo of the scooters next to the dessert table and a photo of the boys' wrists with the store wrist tags still tucked under the grips, half torn. Then I took a wide of the circle that got her face and Mr. Khan, just to place them in the frame if I needed witnesses to the loan line she'd dropped. Not to post, just to file. When the sun got low, the scooters went home. The foil pans went back into trunks. Mrs. Reyes packed her cooler and rolled it to her driveway. Mr. Khan folded one tent until it clicked into its bag. Mom stood by her car and sent 3 long texts in a row to someone, then glanced up at me in that slow count way she does when she wants me to come over. I didn't. Back at my place, the binder came out. I printed the access denied still from earlier, the porch shot of the key at her fingers, and one wide circle photo with her and the scooters and Mr. Khan's left shoulder in frame. I taped a post-it under the potluck photo and wrote, "Claimed loan" with the time. I also grabbed a screenshot of her message in the neighborhood chat that buzzed later. "Just covered my son for a surprise bill. All good. Boys will get extra park time now." I clipped out names, printed the text bubble with just hers, slid that into the sleeve behind the photo. I labeled a divider, missing/claimed, and moved the console photos there with the scooter stem shot. The night visitor clip from 2:13 a.m. got its own file name, Porch Test 0213. I saved the alley cam nothing too, because nothing can still place a time when someone said they weren't there. Before bed, I walked the new fence span where the mower gate used to be. The screws sat flush, the boards lined clean. The alley side didn't show fresh wood. I pressed my palm to it and pushed. Solid. Side gate closed itself behind me with a soft catch. The latch seated. I tugged twice. Good. Phone buzzed once on the counter. Stepdad's email. "Good seeing you at the circle. No questions. No time ask." I replied, "You too." Short, clean. I put the last print into the binder and closed the cover. The clear sleeve in front showed the green card with her signature under the notice header. It sat like a title page. Under that, the porch still. Under that, the night clip timestamp. Under that, the potluck photo. Layers. Not loud, just there. Outside, the streetlight cut the curb in half. The new Eve camera watched the side latch settle and did nothing else. The house creaked once the way wood does when the air drops a degree. The front keypad sat dark and harmless until someone touched it. The porch mat dried along the edges first and left a darker rectangle in the center like a photo in a tray. The rectangle lightened, bit by bit, until it matched the rest. Late morning. Sidewalk heat baking off the concrete. I ran into Mom at the corner where the mailboxes lean from years of kids grabbing them like monkey bars. Toad on her shoulder again, same one with the scuffed leather strap. She shifted it when she saw me. Quick little move to hide the front pocket flap. Too slow. The pocket gaped for a second. White slip in there. Thin cardstock with a barcode and the word keys in block caps. 4 digits after it like a machine code. I didn't slow down. Phone lifted, screen tapped, clean photo. She snapped the tote shut like it had teeth and kept walking without looking at me. I saved the pic to the album and labeled it Tote Slip Keys. Walked home. Didn't text. Didn't say anything. Binder would get it later. Wind flipped the umbrella into the pool. She'd popped the cover lock and rolled it back. I killed the breaker. We got both boys onto floats and out. I relocked the box. Before bed, I opened the album and scrolled the day. Key receipt, side gate, cover unlocked, umbrella in, kids out. I closed the phone and put it face down on the counter next to a blue marker pen and a clean towel. The towel was for tomorrow. The marker was for later. Final lock audit. Cameras synced. Documents laid out. I dotted a bit of washable dye under the alley side latch lip. At lunch, I sent stepdad one email with a time and place. 6 p.m., my patio, kids included. I let him know Mrs. Reyes and Mr. Khan would be there. He wrote back 3 minutes later with a plain okay. The afternoon stretched long, and that way days do when you're waiting on something you can't rush. I kept busy without leaving. The yard got a quick sweep. The patio table got washed and dried. I lined up 2 glasses of water and a bowl of pretzels for the boys and nothing else. At 2:41, the doorbell pinged. She tried a key. The keypad flashed. Access denied. 30 seconds later, the Eve cam caught her yanking the side latch. Washable blue bloomed across her palm. She wiped it on the tote, elbowed the gate shut when she spotted the lens, and kept moving. Mrs. Reyes's ring recorded the same moment. I saved the clips and printed stills. The dye rinsed off in 20 seconds. That's the point. That morning, I'd filed a $600 small claims claim for conversion. On the table, certified notice plus green card, trespass affidavit, theft report, console scratch, mine versus, Evans, scooter model match, access denied still, dye smeared latch, key cut receipt. Mrs. Reyes set her phone on the table and played a muted copy of the alley clip from her ring. It showed the same hand, the same latch, the same bright smear, and then that embarrassed elbow push closing the gate. Mr. Khan took his notebook out and wrote the time without being told which one mattered. He underlined it once and kept quiet. Stepdad's shoulders drooped in a way I hadn't seen before. He looked at the porch still, then the key receipt photo, then the latch shot, and didn't try to cover any of it with extra words. Evan broke the quiet first, not loud. Eyes on the jacket line and the theft report. He said Grandma told him I didn't like that jacket anyway. He kept his voice even, took a pretzel, and lined 3 crumbs in a row the way kids do when their hands want a job. Milo chewed and watched faces like he was tracking a game. Mom stood with one hand hovering near the prints, and the other hand trying to rub away the last of the faint tint. She shifted the access denied still half an inch, like it belonged closer to her, and then stopped moving paper when she noticed the dye on her napkin. Her eyes skipped the affidavit number, and the green card like skipping counted as winning. Nothing in front of her needed a speech to carry it. It just needed to sit there under the same light as her favorite lines. Process server dropped small claims for $600. Photo/time logged. The gate did itself close. The latch seated. The boys watched the tiny click like it mattered more than it looks. Stepdad finally exhaled hard enough to fog a fake window. He didn't say the correct thing or the wrong thing. He just said, "We should go." He took Evan's scooter by the stem with 2 fingers and rolled it like a truce flag. Milo got the other one. They followed him through the gate. She was already halfway down the alley, talking to nobody into her phone, the tote bumping her hip like a second heartbeat. When they were gone, I put the envelope in a gallon zip bag and took 3 pictures, front, back, and the return of service clip. The bag went into the binder sleeve marked served. I wrote the time on the pad and underlined it. Mrs. Reyes showed her ring clip again at the patio table, so I could see the officer at the gate from her side. Mr. Khan wrote the call number and the time in his tiny notebook and tore out the page when I asked if he could sign it for my file. He signed. The page went into the sleeve with the envelope photos. A week passed with quiet that smelled like cut grass and sunscreen. She didn't test the latch. She didn't test the porch. The cams logged cats and a raccoon the size of a pillow. On Wednesday, Stepdad emailed, "Police standby requested for property pickup," and attached the department's printable form. He'd actually read the instructions. I replied with 3 windows I'd be home. He picked Saturday at 10. I forwarded it to the non-emergency email the desk officer gave me. They replied with a case number and a yes. Civil standby. She listed items. I opened where they'd live. Not present across the board. Signed. Monday morning at 8:03 a.m. Stepdad emailed, "Boys would like to swim Saturday 3 to 5. I will be present. Please confirm. Clean. Straight. No extra words." I replied yes and included the short list. Front door knock, rinse feet at the hose, no running, no touching the cover box, no jumping from furniture, stop when I say stop, snacks are pretzels and fruit, bring your own towels. He replied, "Understood. No forwarding to anyone else. No CCS. Just that." Kids swam. Rules held. I sent them home with a new console. Stays at their house. Gate clicked. Quiet,